Good afternoon, everyone. This is Renee Montgomery with ComputerEase, and we're going to do the year-end review and go over best practices to make your year-end as smooth as possible. During our training, we're going to cover what to prepare for your year, finalizing your 2023 payroll, working on your W-2s, installing your year-end updates, issuing your 1099s, your final year-end processing, and we will touch an overview ACA reporting. As you're getting ready for your year-end, we suggest that you prepare yourself and become familiar with the processes of year-end. You're going to want to make a full year-end backup. It is recommended that you can save a copy of this backup to your server and to a disk that you can take off-site. You're going to want to copy live to practice in order so that you can test anything you're unfamiliar with and be comfortable with the processes. After you've completed your year-end processes, you're going to want to make another backup. And again, we recommend 2 copies, one to the server and then a separate disk one in case you ever need it. And then if you have any questions about the year-end process, we suggest that you submit a case to the Deltek support portal. The practice company is a great tool for you to do tasks in the system that you're unfamiliar with. The practice company is a full copy of your data. It is a picture in time. So if you update your practice company, it'll be as of that moment that you're updating it. Your same rights and restrictions would follow into the practice company. So if somebody does not have access to payroll in the live company, they will not have access to payroll in the practice company. You will use the same logon. The procedures for running the copy data exe file can depend based on your installation. And so we suggest that you reach out and refer to your company's instructions for this process to update your practice company. When you're finalizing your 2023 payroll, oftentimes you have bonus checks. Bonus amounts can be entered in the Enter Labor Distribution screen or under the Enter Non-Job Hours, depending on how you want it to be. Your federal and state taxes will calculate based on the bonus setting in the tax table master files. The current federal rate is 22% for bonus taxes. If you are wanting to zero out the federal taxes, you can use the tax override button and then you can zero it out. We recommend that you verify with your CPA before overriding any taxes or changing the tax rate table to make sure that this isn't going to be an issue long term. If you do change the tax rate to 0 in the federal tax table, ComputerEase payroll clients are not able to access the tax tables, so they would not be able to change the tax rates. If you zero it out, it will not hold 0 taxes, federal taxes. The taxes will be based on the employee's setting, married, single, the number of deductions, etc. If you want to key in a specific tax rate or specific tax amount for the federal or state taxes, the red $sign, the tax override, would allow you to key in whatever that dollar value is. When you're done and you clear your labor distribution, it will clear out all of these tax overrides. When you're issuing your bonus payroll, it is recommended you have a payroll period for bonus. This allows you to decide whether it's going to be a direct deposited check or it's going to be a live checks, which deductions would apply, and if you scroll down further, which fringes would also apply. So you may not have all of your deductions held out on this deduction on this bonus run, and this is where you can come in and change to what exactly is going to be calculated when you run this payroll period without having to change the setup in your employee's master. Issuing non-cash fringes during a normal pay run. If you have non-cash fringes, such as an employee use of auto, the simplest way would be to run it with a normal payroll check, and then they would process and withhold the checks. You do need to make sure that the amount of taxes that are being withheld for this non-cash fringe does not exceed the value of the paycheck. If it does exceed the value of the paycheck, the system will not create a negative check, and you may have to set up a loan or whatever in order to capture and recoup the taxes that are being withheld for 2023 for this non-cash fringe. If you have already completed your 2023 payrolls and you do need to add this non-cash fringe, you will have to go into month-to-date maintenance and enter in the amounts in here, or to have it flow to your W-2 and any other tax reporting that you want it to be shown on. Again, if the taxes are owed, you will need to make arrangements with the employee to collect them afterwards. If you have third-party pay that you need to have included in your year-end reporting or your W-2s, the system now allows you to enter in your third-party payroll, such as like an AFLEC payment or a disability payment. You would go in and you would create a third-party pay. It would have a payer, a description, and a statement date. So this could be the company that's paid it. It could be December's transactions, and then the date may be a December date. They may send it out quarterly. It just depends on how the company sends out the information to you. Once you create this and click on OK on the next screen, it will create an entry here for you to put it in. The information that's put on that first screen will flow over to the payor, the description, and the statement date. If this amount needs to be included in the W-2s, there is a box to check to include it in your W-2s. You have your tax recognition date and then the general ledger period as to what this information is going to put in. When you're entering it here, you click on your add and you're able to put in, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the thing. So this is the first screen where you put in the things, whether or not you want it to be included in your W-2s, and then the recognition date and GL period for it. This is a sample of a statement that might be received. They've withheld the taxes for the employee's portion for Social Security and Medicare, but not the employer's portion, nor have they withheld any federal or state taxes. So when you go to this other screen and you click OK, then you're going to get an individual record where you're able to select the employee and enter in the information as to what the gross pay was, federal, Social Security, Medicare, what withholding was. So there was no federal withholding. They did include a withholding for Social Security and Medicare. If there's FUTA that needs to be calculated against, the state FUTA, and if there was any withholdings there. The statements may vary depending on how they have it set up and what it's going to do. There is department and then payment date. The department is going to drive the general ledger postings for this amount that is accruing for taxes that are going to be owed, and then the date of the payment. You would put in the taxable amount and any information that you're going to have. It's going to default to your employee's state of residency, but if you need to change the state, you can. Once you have entered all of this information, you can click on OK and it will save this information. and it'll let you go and put in as many employees that you have on this. You can also choose to cancel or delete the entries if you have an entry you need to change and want to make any changes. The next tab is a notes tab. If you need to put any notes to this entry, you're able to under this note tab. There's an attachment file. So if you want to scan in and save a copy of the statement that you received, you can save it in the attachment folders. You would need to have at least one folder set up under configure, system parameters, payroll parameters, and under the third-party statement, you would need to have at least one folder set up in order to do statements. There is a summary screen which will summarize all of the entries of what is in there, what the employee and the employer taxes would be, and what the liability would be. You can preview it or post. If you preview it, it'll just look at it. It does not post to reports or to the general ledger or show on the reports until you do click on the posting. Once you hit post, then it will flow into your reports and post into the general ledger. If you need to void a posted third-party pay, it is similar to a paycheck stub. You would be able to, again, choose the payer, the description of the statement date, and you would choose to void the entry. When you are voiding it, you would pick the reversal date in the period. So we say this is similar to like a paycheck when you void it. If at all possible, we recommend that you do void it to the same period as the original posting was. At the end of the year, this is the time to review your master files. You're going to confirm that your deductions and fringes types have been set up. If they're going to report to your box 12s or your W-2s, or do your box 14s for your deductions and fringes and any code that you have set up. The system does allow you to mark things as employer-sponsored health coverage or some retirement plans, and that is set to report under specific boxes under box 12. You're going to want to check your employee maintenance for the accuracy of name, addresses, and social security numbers. You're going to want to confirm that the company's name, address, and phone number are correct, and any tax numbers that are needed. The company's names is going to be found under the main menu, configure, and then company name. Under the settings and payroll, for your federal tax table or your state tax table or your local tax tables is where your tax ID numbers are going to be created. And so again, you're going to want to verify your state tax rate maintenance, your federal tax tables, and your local tax tables. Under your local tax tables, if you're required to have a W-2, you want to make sure that the box is selected for W-2. Otherwise, it just comes to a transmittal sheet. You want to verify the name of the local tax. ComputerEase will truncate some of the letters in the W-2 statements, so you may want to review this. And then if you have any county codes or school district information that is required for magnetic media. At the end of the year, we recommend that you complete your normal month-end processes after all your paychecks are done and there's no more layoffs or bonus checks, and then run your quarterly and year-end payroll reports. The reports that we recommend would be the month, quarter, year-to-date report, the state and local taxes withheld, federal and state unemployment, workers' comp worksheet, 941 worksheet, Schedule B, deductions and fringes report, union and EEOC reports, and then an employee master report. As you prepare for 2024 in the payroll, you may want to go in and review the setup of the rules for your vacation and sick time and make sure the rules that are attached to the employee are correct. And if any employee has hours that need to be cleaned up or revised, you can go into the edit accrued hours and make an entry to clean up the hours that they might have. If your deductions and fringes yearly cap have changed, you may need to go into your employee maintenance and correct your yearly caps. And again, to review your ACA information and verify that the plan's premiums and employee statuses or offer of coverage codes are correct so that for your reporting purposes. When you're ready to prepare your W-2s, and ComputerEase allows you to complete 2023 payroll, start 2024 payroll, and you still can go back and do any reporting necessary for 2023. So don't feel like you have to do your W-2s on the 31st because you can't run your next year's payroll until these are completed. The system is very date sensitive and it will separate them. When you're ready to do your W-2s, you're going to start with prepare your W-2s. You're going to want to leave the beginning and last blank, and it's going to come up and show you prepared for how many employees. This is not necessarily the count of forms that you're going to require. This is telling you how many records that it read. So it's going to read all of the employees that have been in your system that have not been removed. So this number may be much greater than what you're going to need forms for. Another thing is that you may receive an error message when you're preparing them, because if a deductions or a fringe has been deleted during the year, but there's history on it, and it's given you the error message, you will have to go back and recreate that deductions or fringe code using that exact same code in order to complete the preparations of your W-2s. It will pop up and it'll tell you exactly the name of the file that it's looking for. Once the code has been reestablished, then you can click on the prepare again and it'll finish preparing your W-2s. Once your W-2s are prepared, you can edit a W-2. If you go into the option of editing a W-2, it'll bring up the screen with the information that's in here. You can add or change anything. Keep in mind, if you're editing anything in the W-2s, this is not changing data in ComputerEase, so the reports may differ from what the W-2s say and ComputerEase say. If you want to make sure the information is the same in both ComputerEase and the W-2s, it is recommended that you make the correction in ComputerEase, re-prepare them, and then have them display the information that is necessary. If you do an adjustment and you click that prepare W-2s again, it will override your W-2s if you have this employee included in it. Once your W-2 is verified and you're ready to print your W-2s, there are different options for printing your W-2s. You'll have an employee copy, a federal copy, a state and local copies. The system will also give you a count W-2 report, which will tell you how many forms to purchase. When you're printing the federal copies, by design, it does not include any state or local information, and that it'll only include federal payroll amounts, salary amounts in there. If you're using, this is for the 2 per page. If you're using the 4 per page, it'll print the same on all 4 boxes. If you need to, when you're printing them, I always recommend that you print them on plain paper to test the files. What you can do is print them all on plain paper. That gives you a copy of them all. So if you need to review, make any changes, make any adjustments, you can have something to look at and see. If the forms do not line up correctly, you can go to configure pre-printed forms adjustment and move the forms up, down, right, or left. If you put a printed form behind the plain paper copy that you've printed, it'll show you if it's going to line up without you having to waste stock of the forms. Another thing to note, it is not recommended that you print the PDFs to print the W-2s to a PDF and then from the PDF file print them. The PDF file is going to have margins within it, so it will skew and it will cause alignment issues if you save it to a PDF and then try to print it from a PDF file. It is recommended you print it directly from ComputerEase to the forms. The system will also print the W-3, which is your summary screen for it. You can choose whether or not to include your state or local taxes. This is also an editable screen, so if you need to make any changes, again, if you make changes here and re-prepare, it's going to change the data on your W-3. So you want to be careful that you have everything the way you want it and you're not anticipating to go back and re-prepare. The system will create a magnetic media file for you. It's going to have your company name, address, and you can put it in here and it will create it. When it creates it, it's going to put it on a clipboard, and then you are able to save that file from your clipboard to anywhere that you need it so that you can upload it. This is if you have the Employees Hub after you have completed your W-2s, you are able to go into reports, tax reporting, work on W-2s, and upload your completed W-2s to your Employee Hub so that your employees are able to access them directly from the Employee Hub. You are going to want to make sure that you're keeping up with your updates. The updates are what are going to ensure that you have the most current tax rates in this system. If you have it set to tell you when there are updates, it'll pop up and give you information that there is an update available. Or you can always click on Help, check for new release, and this will bring in your new release and let you know what's available. When you're doing the auto update feature, it will run through here and tell you what version it is, what the sizes are, and you can view the changes that are available. Once you are done doing the update, you do want to make sure that the boxes to convert your data files and recompile user reports are checked, because otherwise your data file would be in an earlier version and your software's program is on a different version and they're not compatible. So you must convert your data files when you're done with the update in order for you to be able to access ComputerEase without any issues. Loading your tax tables and your state tables. As you do your updates, the system will, when you go in and you're ready to do your first payroll with a check dated in 2024, it will give you a message that the following tax tables do not agree with the tax table that was shipped for this release of the software, and it will prompt you to install the updated tax tables. By leaving the box checked, it will update your tax tables for you. If you want to manually update your tax tables, again, if you sign into the system with the date in 2024, and the date must be in 2024, and you go to your pull up your tax tables, go to File, and go to Load Defaults, this will also install your defaults, and you can see the changes that they're doing if you're wanting to manually update it. If the state tax tables are the same way, once you are logged in with a date in the system showing 2024, you can go to Load Defaults and it will load your tax table for whatever state that you have set up in the system. The unemployment rates are maintained manually. They are not maintained by ComputerEase because based on your history and your claims, and you will need to go under the SUTA tab and update your rate manually for SUTA. If you're going to prepare your 1099s and accounts payable, you're going to want to go to Accounts Payable Maintenance Programs, Vendor Maintenance, and verify that they are set up on the Additional Settings tab to receive a 1099. The 1099s are printed in one of three formats. One is as a non-employee compensation, NOC, one is interest, and one is miscellaneous. So you're going to want to say what type of 1099 they are going to receive, and this is going to drive what boxes and which forms are going to be needed to prepare for them. When you under checking account maintenance, you can exclude payments for vendors for 1099s if this box is checked. So if you're coming up and you're not seeing anybody is set to receive a 1099, you're going to want to go in and make sure that this box is not checked where it says exclude from 1099s. If it is, you're going to want to uncheck it and then re-prepare it so that it picks up the data and includes them. Once you come in here, you're going to want to go to your prepare 1099s and again, choose your tax years and leave your vendors A to Z open. And it's going to go through here and gather all the information as to who's going to receive a 1099. It will also show a count that is showing how many records it's read, not how many forms that are necessary. There is a print 1099 report that you can create, and it will show you the number of forms. Again, it's going to be separated into whether it's the 1099 miscellaneous, the 1099 interest, or the 1099 NEC. And it will also show you vendors that are not set to receive a 1099. So this whole report is inclusive. You can look at it if you find that vendors are set up incorrectly or need to be moved. You can go in, change the vendor setting, re-prepare them, and then look at the report again to make sure that it is coming across the way you want it to be printed. If you need to edit the 1099s, again, you can go into the year, choose the vendor and the form that you're going to edit, and the box will pop up displaying it. So this is the 1099, which would come over here, and the fields that will be available that you can go in and edit the screens that are necessary. This is the 1099 interest. And again, the information that's available for the 1099 interest and what needs to be edited or changed. And then this is the 1099 NEC, what information's there. And again, this could also be edited and changed if there's amounts that need to be adjusted. Again, just if you have edited a vendor's 1099, you re-prepare them, it will override that 1099 that was edited. When you're printing your 1099, you're going to choose the year, the form, and it's very important. Each one is ran separately. You would run your 1099s miscellaneous separate, then your 1099 interest, and then your 1099 NEC or non-employee compensation. And it will print out the forms for you. The 1096 is the cover sheet. The system will print the 1096 cover sheet. The information is pulling from ComputerEase. You can choose to print it, send it to PDF, etc., or make any. There is an edit also option for the 1096. Again, I would recommend you print them to plain paper to test to make sure all the information's correct, that it's going to line up correctly. And then if you did need to make any adjustments, you can move them left to right or up and down based on the information in here. If you need to create your magnetic media files, the system will create it. Again, there's 3 steps. You would have your cover, your information, and then it's going to give you a count as to if there was previously accepted or previously submitted 1099s. It will save it to a clipboard, but you can move it and save it elsewhere on your network. payment by locality for 1099s. You can come in here and it will create a report for your by your locality so that you can use this if you have locality taxes that have to be reported. If December 31st is the end of your fiscal year and you're wanting to close your fiscal year, the system knows when your year begins. And when you go in and you close your current period, it is going to close out information that's your P&L accounts. It will zero out your sales, your cost of sales, your operating expense, and other income accounts, and it'll move the balance from your current retained earnings to prior retained earnings. You do not have to close the year before you start working in 2024. The system will keep that data separate. ComputerEase does not have hard closes in the general ledger. So depending on what your permissions are, if you're allowed to post to close periods, or when your CPA gives you adjusting entries, whatever, it will allow you to go back how many ever periods that are set up in here and whether or not it's a previous year. And this says how many periods in the future you're able to post to. Even if you have here that you're allowed to previous periods or future periods, there's a two-step process. There was also under password maintenance whether or not you have the ability to post to close period. So even if you have a large number of periods here with previous years, if under password maintenance, the user is not allowed to post to close periods, it's not going to let them go in and do it. So your ACA reporting is the system has the ability to print your ACA reports. You're going to want to gather your information as to your plans, your offer of coverage, and what codes would apply to them, and if you have any safe harbor codes that would apply. Okay, the system is going to have you go in and create your categories as to what you have. And then you can create your plans. Your categories is, you must have at least one category. And this could be whether it's full-time, I'm sorry, in the employee information, the ACA, this is in here. The plans are what plans you have offered. You do not have to set up every single plan you offer in your health insurance. You only have to have the lowest single employee offer that you make as a plan and with the rates in that one. You don't have to set up and give every single one as to what it's set up in. There are videos also available under the support portal for year-end resources. The system has some reports. It will give you a full-time equivalency report. It'll go through and tell you based on the hours worked, what employees are in there. There's a variable employee hour status, and then what their current type is. You can then print your 1094Cs, which is the cover sheet, the 1095Cs, which is the details of each of the employees. The 1095Cs can be uploaded to your employee hub, and then you can export your 1094, 1095Cs to the IRS using their ACA information return system to set it up. This year, they have lowered the limit to the number of users that are required to file it electronically. Under the Deltek support portal, under year-end resources, there are year-end guides and checklists, and there are a lot of videos that are available with much more detail in handling different aspects of the year-end process. And so I'm looking at the questions, and if you have any questions and you want to type them in there, we do have a few minutes that we can look at and answer questions. So the first question I have is, if Deltek Payroll Services is doing our W-2s, does this third party pertain to us? If it's something that needs to be included in your W-2, then I would say that you need to make sure that you're sharing this information with Deltek Payroll Services so that they can include it. You may need to add that information in ComputerEase so when they're pulling the data, it's complete. The other question is if you are using the services for payroll, will you run the W-2s? And yes, that is available through the payroll services to run the W-2s. They will also do 1099 if you are interested in having payroll services do 1099. Are there any other questions? Okay, let's see. Can you detail what Deltek Payroll Services does so that we know? On the Deltek Payroll Services, I don't know that off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up. My company doesn't have fringes set up. What other forms must I do? So fringes are the company paid benefits, the portion of that. So if you need to include or want to include the portion of health insurance, or if you match a 401k, then you may want to go in and set up the fringes so that they are able to report. We are a multi-state payroll. One of the states has a FUTA credit reduction. The FUTA credit reduction would be based on how it's set up in the tax tables for that state. A PDF of the slides, this year-end thing will be available as a video, but the slides are available. Absolutely. We can share the slides. Yes, and we will send out the PowerPoint to consult later. Absolutely. The question is the template for the W-2, is there a template for the W-2 magnetic media? Every year the states will not take our file. There are different requirements for it, and we strive to meet all of the requirements that are necessary for the W-2s to be uploaded. But if you have any questions on that one and it's specific, I would reach out to the support portal and create a ticket for us to review. The support portal can be reached from within ComputerEase. If you go up to support in the upper left-hand side, I believe it gives you an access there. If not, it's on the right-hand side. That blue eye will take you there. Are there any other questions? Well, thank you all for attending. And as I said, that this will be recorded and the access to the PowerPoint will be available. Thank you. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to create a support ticket and reach out to ComputerEase. Have a great day and happy holidays.